Hello and welcome to the Down Under Visa Philippines to Australia podcast series. I'm your host, Jeff Harvie, registered migration agent with Down Under Visa, the premier Australian migration agent in Manila, Philippines, specialising in visas for Australian Filipina couples. We hope you enjoy this podcast and hope it proves useful to you. Please feel free to share this with your partner and with any of your interested friends. Let's get started. Better ways to get a partner from Philippines to Australia. Look, partner visas can be a real challenge. They cost a lot of money. They can take a long time, although not necessarily as long as people think they take. Well, we'll get onto that one as we go on. They are a lot of work, and you miss each other, and of course you want to be together. And I suppose, like all challenged people, it's only natural to try to find a better way and an easier way to bring your partner from Philippines to Australia. Now we at Down Under Visa, we tell people straight, and we tell people the most problem-free ways of getting the partner visa and getting together. Yet some clients, bless them, and yes, we really do understand, they try to find better ways and easier ways of doing things. It revolves around two main areas, getting together faster and also saving on government fees. And of course, I think of ways of saving on Down Under visas, professional fees too, and many come back to us after they've had refusals or even found themselves with, say, like a Condition 8503, which is no further stay, preventing them from lodging any further applications inside Australia. Most common, the endless tourist visa. Now, many people try to bring their partner from the Philippines and intend to stay for extraordinary lengths of time on a tourist visa. They are granting multiple entry tourist visas more readily these days, and many assume these are a 1-year visa. People will tell us, they'll say, oh yes, I've got a 1-year visa. Well, it's not actually. The thinking is that when you can save on shelling out $10,000 plus on partner visa fees, at least for now, and maybe after a year can try for another 1-year tourist visa. But the reality is that they won't let you use a tourist visa in place of a partner visa, despite one section of the department, in other words the immigration people, giving out more multiple entries. The cranky side of the department, I suppose you could call them, known as Border Force, they tend to disagree. And if you do return too soon, they're likely to give your lady a serious grilling at the airport, as only a large Australian man with a sinister uniform can. And I have written blog articles about this recently. There is a podcast on this topic. If you do have a multiple entry tourist visa, you really should read and you should listen to those, because this is an important issue you need to understand. So, look, in reality, you and your partner from the Philippines, you won't be together all the time this way. And look, she can't work in Australia. She can't put the kids into school for more than 3 months in total. School fees are really high too on a tourist visa. No Medicare either. And look, when you tally up 3 return airfares for her, yes, look, realistic maximum, even though it's granted over a 12 months period, you realistically are only looking at staying 3 times 3 months per stay, because you're going to need that month's break in between, otherwise you're going to get a hard time at the airport. So you look at those 3 return airfares for her, you look at visa fees, you look at maybe there are some regional flights as well, if she has to fly into Manila from Cebu or from Tacloban or wherever she happens to be from, or you might have regional flights within Australia too if she has to fly from Brisbane to Rockhampton or wherever it happens to be. So you got to have those airfares as well. You could quite comfortably spend $7,000 over a year. It's fairly poor economy if you ask me. I'd rather see a client wait for a bit and then pursue the plan that will bring you to the point of being permanently together a whole lot faster. It's only logical. And look, as for trying to do it a second year, well, obviously you can double those expenses, and look, I understand that the point of tourist visas is that they are there for people visiting. They are, they're not there for the purposes of you living together for a long period of time, and they see this. It's highly unlikely they'll let her do it for another year. You may get another 3 months, but that would be about it. The rule of thumb, department policy, is no more than 12 months visit in any 18-month period. It's a condition they can impose when they feel like imposing it. In other words, if they look at that, they can say, right, well, we're going to impose this particular regulation, which I'll get on to in a minute. But again, basically, trying to do that. You may get away with spending a great deal of time together over 12 months. Don't expect you can just go and repeat that for another year. So, in other words, it's a bit of a fool's paradise to assume you can just keep on doing that. Now, we're leading on to the next bit. Condition 8558. No more than 12 months in any 18-month period. Yes, condition 8558. Now, some visas have this imposed on them, and case officers may apply this at their discretion. And it has long been the department rule of thumb, as I explained above. It means the visa applicant may not spend more than 12 months inside Australia in any 18-month period. Otherwise, you can say over the last 18 months, you must have spent 6 months outside of Australia. If you haven't, well then, you are more likely than not to end up with a problem. Now, it's often discretionary, which means they may choose to apply it or they may not. Basically, you may be lucky. People come back to us saying, oh, I know somebody who, this, that, or the other. All sorts of things can happen by chance, but it's not the sort of thing that you want to count on, and you don't want to base your plan for the future around that, because it only takes one decision to put the kibosh on the whole thing, and then suddenly you're going, well, now what are we going to do? I thought we were going to be together in a few weeks, and it's not going to happen. They've refused the application, and they've told me why. They've said you spent too much time together. And then where are you? You're closer to being together, and there you are, horribly disappointed and in shock, and always very upset. So, again, as I say, you may be lucky, but don't count on it. And you don't want to have based your future plans around this happening, because it's more likely than not it won't happen. And note that it's often actually written as a condition on a tourist visa grant notice, which means if you do spend one extra day over 12 months, then you are facing cancellation. Once again, you have to understand that tourist visas are not partner visas. Yes, I know you want to save money, and gentlemen, I also understand that many of you have cold feet and are hoping to put this off. Look, it's a really, really common scenario amongst men, particularly. It's, gentlemen will love being there with the lady and love the time they're having together, but it's just taking that final step, because once you say, right, we're going for a partner visa, we're going to get married, well then that's basically it. It's a hard one to suddenly pull back on if you're a bit nervous about the whole thing. So it happens, and we do understand that. But look, the fact is that tourist visas are not designed for living together and avoiding a partner visa, and if they think this is what you're trying to do, they will refuse the application, or they make sure they impose condition 8558 and will limit your time together. So that's basically it. And look, sometimes people get they get into this sort of state where they complain and they say it's not fair, and they should have this and they should have that, and but what if we're not ready, but we want to be together, but we're not ready to get married yet, or we want to oh goodness, we want to get a bridging visa for some endless length of time with no commitment whatsoever. Again, it's one of my favourite and very necessary things to point out to people, that visas are grants, they are not rights. You're lucky if you get them. They don't have to give them to you. It's not your right. You can't say, but I have a right to bring my fiancee to Australia. No, you do not have a right to bring your fiancee to Australia. You do not have a right to bring your girlfriend to Australia. You do not have a right to spend as much time as you want in Australia together, getting to know one another and making sure that you're ready to make that final decision. That's not their job. It's not their job to organise your future or to organise your romance together. That's just the way it works. But anyway, look, again, if you are not ready to take the big plunge, if you've still got a few niggling doubts and not sure that one or both of you is totally committed, then by all means take your time. But if you've already taken that plunge where you really can't stand being apart, or the idea of being apart, you really, really can't stand it, then you possibly should be taking that bold step. Now, our next one is to watch out for amateur migration advice. Definitely watch out for advice from amateurs. Now, there is a reason why it's illegal in Australia for anyone who is not a registered migration agent giving out migration advice. In other words, advice about how to get a visa. Now, the reason is that they can hurt you a great deal if they tell you the wrong thing. Now, they may mean well. Friends and relatives generally do. Advice forums and Facebook group pages look at maybe an ego thing, maybe just overconfidence too. I'll tell you something bluntly. Many of those giving out wise how-to advice on Facebook groups and assorted forums have managed one successful visa application themselves. Now, so did I many years ago. I organised my wife's prospective marriage visa. Now, did I do a great job with my wife's prospective marriage visa all those years ago? Look, take note, this was long before I was educated and qualified as a migration agent, and I have since done literally thousands of partner visa applications. But back then, did I do a great job with the application? No, it was awful actually. I have no idea why they were so patient with us. But it was granted, and thank goodness I never started advising people at that particular point. We got through it with the skin of our teeth, basically. What we lodged was a fairly horrendous application, and they very patiently helped us through the rest of it. And look, we applied in Hong Kong. This was many years ago. It took a whole 2 months to be granted, and I don't know. It was simpler then. They were a lot more forgiving. Things have changed since then. So yes, there you go. That's the point. Bad migration advice. Next point. Some of the things that you can hear from amateurs and from well-meaning friends. Go to Australia and get a partner visa and marry later. Look, if you apply for an onshore partner visa, you need to be married first. The only exception is if you are in an established de facto relationship for 12 months or more. If you're applying based on a marriage, you cannot apply later. Now, you can with an offshore partner visa, but we're talking about onshore ones here. People will assume that. They'll say, oh, okay, well then we'll go there and we'll marry later because they're wanting to put the whole thing off. No, you can't. Okay? Go to Australia on a tourist visa and then start a partner visa later. Partner visa applications take months of work. Now, we had once a senior banking executive, in other words, a very well organised administrator, prepare his fiancee's application in 1 month once. We've had that happen. Amongst our clients, 2 months is fairly quick. 3 to 4 months is fairly common. And look, a marriage license takes a month to get if you do need to get married in Australia. And look, rush job and quality rarely go together, and you can wreck everything for yourselves if you try to do it this way by leaving everything until the last minute. And here's the next one, which is getting a bridging visa in the meantime. We hear this, we'll go to Australia, we'll get a bridging visa and then we'll sort out the partner visa later. Okay, bridging visas are issued automatically when A, you've applied for a new visa, example, partner visa onshore, and B, the tourist visa runs out before that partner visa application has been finalised. You cannot get a bridging visa for an offshore visa, and you cannot apply for a standalone bridging visa to fill in while you sort out what you're wanting to do. There is no such thing as a standalone bridging visa. There's not something there where you wander into the immigration office and say, look, I just can't decide what I want to do, but we want to be together. And they go, no worries, get yourself a bridging visa. Here, quick and easy, boom, that'll take care of you, take all the time you need. Doesn't work like that, okay? You cannot go in and apply for a bridging visa while you're sorting yourselves out. If you want to do a partner visa onshore, you've got to be organised in time, otherwise you'll wreck everything. She's still married, but that won't matter. Yes, it does matter. Now, whether the marriage was performed overseas or whether he was a horrible man who abandoned her or whether he was already married to someone else, I get this sort of thing all the time. Look, it seems to be all of these marriages which, lasted several days before the man buggered off and was never seen or heard from again. I hear this sort of thing all the time. Look, they married 10 years ago and he just took off a week later and hasn't seen or heard from him since. So therefore, this won't count. Well, I'm sorry, but it does. The marriage still exists. It was still a legal contract between husband and wife, as is any marriage in Australia. Same thing could happen in Australia. It's still a legal marriage. If they married in the Philippines legally, then they are still legally married. The marriage still exists, and she cannot marry until she has had that one annulled. Annulments in the Philippines, not divorces, no fault divorces, nothing quick and easy. Okay, require an annulment, right? We want a visa to start a de facto relationship. That's another one. So, I'm not sure about marriage, but look, I think we'll go for this de facto one, and then we'll start living together after we get the visa. No, you must be in an existing de facto relationship, and you must be in that for 12 months. Now, you may have heard about this. If you qualify for a registered relationship, if your state permits, not all states allow for registered relationships. If you're in the Northern Territory or you're in Western Australia, you cannot get one at this particular point. But if you qualify for one of those, you can reduce that 12 months down to about 6 months. But you can't get a pre-relationship partner visa. Sorry about that. Doesn't exist. Next one, she's pregnant, and certainly the system will bend for us. Okay, like, this is, of course, they'll make this easy because, the poor thing's pregnant. Look, no, it will not, and look, this is one of those often tragic scenarios. I'll be doing a podcast on this topic in the next few weeks. I do have a blog article about this. Look, these are some of the issues which make pregnancy a problem. One, she can't fly after a certain point in the pregnancy. That's a rule set by the airlines. It's not set by the Australian government. At a particular point, they don't want ladies and late term pregnancies to be on planes because they don't want something going wrong while the plane's somewhere over the Pacific Ocean. 2, if the child is born in the Philippines, then it will take about 3 months to get a birth certificate for the child, another month or 2 to get a passport, and at least 4 weeks from start to finish to get a visa for the baby. I'm talking about a tourist visa. So, if the child is born in the Philippines, well then, it means it's going to slow the whole thing down. 3, if the child is born in Australia, then as long as dad is an Australian citizen or a permanent resident, the child will be born as an Australian citizen, which is great. But then, child's going to need a birth certificate, which takes a few months, and a few more weeks to get a passport. So, so what it means is, with number 3 there, child becoming an Aussie, it doesn't change mum's situation. If mum has to leave a week after giving birth, then mum is going to leave Australia minus the baby. She's going to have a 1-week-old baby that definitely needs mum, but she can't stay. She's going to have to leave. Baby can't leave because the baby can't fly without a passport. Not going to get a passport because they haven't got a birth certificate yet. There's nothing set up to make this sort of thing easy. And look, number 5 here, huge importance, is that pregnant ladies are emotional and vulnerable. They should, at the very least, be in a stable position migration-wise before going through pregnancy. So, look, I implore you to take that one very, very seriously. Last but definitely not least, conservative but reliable partner visa strategies. Now, we're not much on bold initiatives that may work. We don't recommend risky strategies or anything that could easily go wrong. Yes, bold, heroic and brave schemes, they may work, but we don't recommend risky strategies or anything that could easily go wrong. Yeah, they may work some of the time, but that is not good enough when people are paying us for our guidance and for some certainty. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and as a straight line we get our clients to walk. Now, we could never make an exciting TV series like Migration Squad from the Down Under Visa office. Our approach is always safe, and I suspect our staff are a bit boring. Jeremy most definitely is as boring as they come, but we don't see too many refusals, which is more than I could say for some of the schemes that we hear of. Look, I hate risk, and most of you, I'm sure, don't want to take risks with your precious relationship. Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Down Under Visa Philippines to Australia podcast series. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you found this useful. Australian visas from the Philippines are not easy, and the outcome matters, as you well know. Please feel free to contact us anytime if you need some further help. And we look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye-bye.